a circuit that you can do at home and that can complement your weight training sessions or conditioning style sessions in the gym. The requirement for equipment is relatively minimal. And what we look for generally in a circuit would be, number one, movement quality, not just doing exercise for exercise's sake. And the other big thing that we would look for would be movement variety. Human beings have a massive lack of variety in their movement skills nowadays, so you tend to find that people have sitting, standing and possibly walking as their only three movement skills, and a lot of the other ones go by the wayside. Okay, so this will give you a little example. I'll do them straight through and then we'll voice them over afterwards. Okay. With the yoga push-up, what we're looking for is upward rotation of the shoulder blades, try and get people into full shoulder flexion. Try to make sure we keep the abs nice and tight all the way down to the push-up, and try to make sure that the neck stays in a nice neutral alignment, just like a standard flat push-up. The option is to go with or without the push-up in these ones, or go with a partial range if you do struggle with the full flat push-up. Elbows back at 45 degrees to the body. Counterbalance squat, what we're looking for is a nice even weight distribution through the feet, slightly positive shin angles, making sure that there's no cave in at the knees. When you're pressing out in front with a counterbalance of 1 or 2 kgs, doesn't necessarily need to be a foam wall or just anything around that type of weight. Keep a nice proud chest out shape as you go. With our band pull aparts, the primary objective is to get retraction of the shoulder blades. We want to make sure that as we finish, the ball of the shoulder is centered in the socket. Try to minimize any shrugging actions as we go, and try not to be too aggressive with driving the hands behind the body. In the bird dog, what we're looking for is to try and resist extension through the lumbar region of the back. We do this by keeping the abdominal muscles nice and tight as we raise the opposite arm and leg. Also, we are trying to resist rotation, so we're trying to make sure that the hips don't twist, and also we're trying to restrict the side to side movements, so we're trying to keep the hips in the hallway. Knee hug to single leg RDL is a nice little hip mobility drill as well as a strengthening drill at lower levels. What we're looking for in these ones with the knee hug is to make sure that we're nice and proud and tall, squeeze through the backside of the standing leg to make sure that your hip stays extended. And with the RDL, we're trying to make sure that we keep a soft knee, reach back into the movement to engage the hamstrings and try and keep the hips nice and square. What we look for in a lateral squat with the counterbalance is to try to make sure that it's a hip dominant exercise, so we don't let the knee shoot aggressively forward or cave in as we get to the side. Keep a nice proud chest out shape as you press your counterbalance out in front, and make sure that your feet stay in full contact with the floor, ideally with the feet pointing forwards rather than out to the sides.
The world's greatest stretch is a great little thoracic mobility and hip separation drill. We look for one foot up on the outside of the hand, or as close as you can get to it. Squeeze the back side and the back leg to extend your back hip, and then from there we're looking to keep the abs tight as we rotate through the upper back. Again, look up the line of the arm, make sure that the shoulder is centered in the socket, and that it's very much thoracic rotation that we're getting. With the split squat, what we're looking for is a positive shin angle on the front leg as we get to the bottom of the squat, making sure that the foot is nice and active on the floor with no heel raise or lifting the toes off the ground. Try to make sure that there's no caving in of the knee, so we push the knee towards the outside of the foot, keeping that glute nice and active. We try to maintain abdominal tension to make sure that we are getting through extension through the back hip. One further thing in the split squat is to remember, as you get to the top of the movement, to not aggressively lock out your knee, in particular for female populations and anyone who has any semblance of hypermobility. Double leg hip thrusts, the main elements that we're looking for is to maintain a posterior tilt by keeping the abdominal muscles nice and tight, and then to actively think about squeezing your backside to extend the hips. We want to ensure that this movement is very much a hip extension and not a lower back extension type of a drill. Watch out for any pushing out of the stomach or doming. We want the hamstrings to be active in this drill, but we shouldn't have them as a primary mover. It's very much a glute dominant exercise that we're looking for here.